Camilla didn't see this coming. Nobody around her did. Because when Harry and Meghan's return to British soil was finally confirmed, everyone expected the tension to center on William. Everyone expected the drama to be about Charles. Nobody expected the person left in tears behind palace doors to be the Queen herself. But according to sources close to the household, that's exactly what happened. And the reason isn't what you'd think. It's not jealousy. It's not resentment over old headlines. It's something far more specific and far more damaging to the fragile peace Camilla has spent years trying to build inside this family. Before I get into it, welcome to Kingdom Files. If you're new here, this is where we go past the headlines and into the actual mechanics of what's happening inside the palace right now. The meetings nobody films, the documents nobody's supposed to see, the conversations that only surface months later once someone finally talks. Hit subscribe because this story is moving fast and you don't want to miss what comes next. And if you want the extended version of tonight's story, the full internal notes, the timeline nobody else has published, head over to theroyalfiles.com after this video. We've put together a complete breakdown there that goes further than what we can cover in 20 minutes. Now let's get into what actually happened. So here's where this starts. Harry and Meghan's return wasn't sudden. It had been negotiated quietly for weeks, mostly through intermediaries, mostly kept away from public view. The official reason given was a charity event, something Meghan had reportedly agreed to attend in support of a cause connected to her Archewell Foundation. Low profile, short trip, in and out within 4 days. That was the plan on paper. What actually happened was very different. Because the moment the trip was confirmed internally, Camilla did something nobody expected. She requested a private meeting with William, not with Charles, not with her own staff, but specifically with William. And according to people familiar with what followed, that meeting is where everything started to unravel. Camilla's position going in was simple. She believed Harry and Meghan's return, however brief, was an opportunity. Charles's health has not been strong. Everyone in the family knows it, even if the public statements remain vague and carefully worded. Camilla has apparently believed for months that the king doesn't have unlimited time left to see his sons reconciled, and that every trip Harry makes back to Britain is a chance that might not come again. So she proposed something to William. A private, unannounced meeting between Charles, Harry, and Meghan. No press, no statement, no formal event, just family in a room before it's too late. And I want to pause here because on paper, that's not a controversial idea. That's the kind of thing most families would consider basic decency, a dying wish essentially, wrapped in diplomatic language. But William's reaction wasn't what Camilla expected. And what happened next is the part that's been quietly circulating through palace staff for the past week. According to insiders, William didn't reject the idea outright. He did something worse, in Camilla's eyes. He asked her why she was the one pushing for it. That question apparently landed hard, because Camilla's relationship with Harry has never been simple. Harry made his feelings about her extremely public in his memoir. He accused her of leaking stories to protect her own image, of playing a long game to secure her position, of treating the royal press machine as a tool rather than a burden. Those accusations were some of the most personal and damaging claims in the entire book, and Camilla publicly took the high road. She never responded. She let it go, at least on the surface. So when she suddenly became the one lobbying for a Harry reunion, William wanted to know why. Camilla's answer, according to those familiar with the conversation, was that she didn't want Charles's final years defined by a family that never healed. She said it wasn't about her relationship with Harry. It was about protecting Charles from spending whatever time he has left carrying that weight. William, for his part, wasn't convinced that was the whole story. And this is where things get complicated, because William apparently raised something Camilla wasn't prepared for. He asked whether her sudden interest in reconciliation had anything to do with a private meeting Camilla's office had scheduled with a publisher 3 weeks earlier. Camilla went quiet, because that meeting was real. And according to what William had learned through channels inside the household, it wasn't about a memoir or an authorized biography, not officially. It was described internally as an exploratory conversation about a potential book examining Camilla's role in the modern monarchy, her her journey from outsider to queen, and crucially, her relationship with the wider family, including Harry. William's concern was straightforward. If Camilla orchestrated a reunion between Harry, Meghan, and Charles, and that reunion later appeared, even indirectly, in material connected to a book project, it would look exactly like what Harry had accused her of in his own memoir, using family moments as currency. Camilla denied any connection between the two things. She said the publisher meeting was preliminary, unofficial, and had nothing to do with her request regarding Harry. But William wasn't willing to take that at face value, not after everything the family had already been through, with unauthorized details finding their way into public narratives. So William did something that, according to sources, absolutely stunned Camilla. He said if a reunion was going to happen, he would be the one arranging it, not her. He would control the guest list, the location, the timing, and critically, he would require written confirmation from Camilla's office that no detail of the meeting would be shared with any external party, publisher or otherwise, for a minimum of 10 years. Camilla reportedly called that insulting. She said 30 years of loyalty to this family had earned her more trust than that. William's response was measured but firm. He said trust wasn't the issue. Precedent was. He reminded her that the family had been burned publicly, repeatedly, by private moments becoming public content, and he wasn't willing to let one more reunion become fodder for anyone's next chapter, hers included. That's when, according to two separate accounts from palace staff, Camilla left the room in tears. Now, before we go further, I want to be clear about something, because this part of the story matters. This wasn't Camilla breaking down out of weakness. Multiple sources describe it as frustration, exhaustion, and something closer to grief. She's watched Charles decline. She's watched Harry and William's relationship remain frozen for years. And in that moment, she believed she was finally doing something to fix part of it, only to be told by her own stepson that she wasn't trusted enough to be present without conditions. If you want the full breakdown of what led to this meeting, including details from Camilla's earlier conversations with Charles about the publisher approach, that's all laid out in more depth over at theroyalfiles.com. It's the kind of background that helps make sense of why this moment hit as hard as it did. Worth checking out once you finish here. So let's get into what happened after Camilla left the room, because this is where William's shocking action actually takes shape. William didn't back down from his position. Instead, he moved forward with his own version of the reunion, entirely independent of Camilla's involvement. He contacted Harry directly, not through intermediaries, not through lawyers, not through the usual chain of private secretaries that had handled every piece of Harry-related communication for the past 4 years. A direct message, reportedly brief, asking whether Harry and Meghan would be willing to see Charles privately during their visit. No cameras, no statement, just family. Harry's reported response was cautious. He asked why William was the one reaching out, given how the last formal meeting between them had gone. William's answer was simple. He said this wasn't about him and Harry. It was about their father, and whatever disagreements existed between the brothers shouldn't stand in the way of that. Harry agreed, but with one condition of his own. He wanted Meghan included, not sitting outside the room, not waiting in a car, but actually present in whatever conversation took place with Charles. William agreed to that immediately, which apparently surprised Harry more than anything else in the exchange. The meeting was set for the second day of their visit at Windsor, kept off every official schedule. Charles was informed only hours before, reportedly to avoid the anxiety of anticipation given his health. When Harry and Meghan arrived, Camilla was not present. That absence was deliberate. According to sources, William made the decision himself, informing Camilla that given the unresolved tension from their earlier conversation, and given the sensitivity of the moment for Charles, it would be better if the first reunion happened without her in the room. He framed it as protecting the moment from any appearance of orchestration, given the unresolved questions about the publisher meeting. Camilla, understandably, did not take that well. Sources describe her reaction as a mixture of hurt and disbelief. The reunion she had pushed for, the one she believed she was fighting to make happen, took place without her. And the person who arranged it and who decided she wouldn't be part of it was William. Inside the meeting itself, the mood was reportedly different from anything the family had experienced in years. Charles, visibly frail according to those present, became emotional almost immediately upon seeing his grandchildren's photos that Meghan had brought on her phone, since Archie and Lilibet weren't part of the trip. He asked to see the pictures multiple times. He asked Harry directly whether the children knew who he was, whether they'd ever seen photographs of him, whether there was any chance he could see them in person before too much more time passed. Harry, according to accounts from the room, became emotional himself at that question. He said the children absolutely knew who their grandfather was, that Meghan made sure of it, and that a visit could be arranged, real conditions permitting. That phrase, real conditions permitting, apparently hung in the air, because everyone in that room knew it was a direct reference to the unresolved security framework still sitting unsigned from Harry's previous negotiations with William. The very issue that had derailed reconciliation efforts before was still there, quietly present even in this more tender moment. Charles reportedly looked at William at that point and asked, in front of Harry and Meghan, whether something could finally be resolved. Not the entire framework, not every clause, just enough to allow a grandfather to see his grandchildren without a legal battle attached to every visit. William didn't answer immediately. According to those present, he took a long pause, then said he would personally review a modified version of the security terms, separate from the broader framework, specifically covering visits involving Charles and the children. Not Harry's public appearances, not Meghan's media activities, just visits centered on Charles. Harry apparently agreed to that framing on the spot, recognizing it as a narrower, more achievable path than the broader negotiation that had stalled previously. Meghan, who had said very little throughout the meeting according to accounts, spoke up at this point. She thanked Charles for wanting to see the children, and she said something that reportedly caught William off guard. She said she hoped that whatever was arranged for Charles could eventually extend to the rest of the family too, adding that she didn't want the children growing up only knowing their grandfather and missing out on aunts, uncles, and cousins because of decisions made by adults. William didn't respond to that directly in the room, but sources say the comments stayed with him. It wasn't confrontational, it wasn't a jab, it was simply honest, and apparently it landed exactly because it wasn't delivered as an attack. The meeting lasted just under an hour. Charles, visibly tired by the end, reportedly held Harry's hand for an extended moment before they left, saying only that he was grateful, that time mattered more than any of them wanted to admit, and that whatever else happened between the brothers, he needed them to promise him they wouldn't let this current silence become permanent. Neither Harry nor William made any promises in that room, but according to one source, both of them nodded. Now here's where Camilla re-enters the story, because this is the part that's been generating the most conversation inside palace circles over the past several days. When Camilla learned how the meeting had gone, specifically the part about William arranging a modified security agreement just for visits involving Charles and the children, she reportedly felt sidelined twice over. First excluded from the reunion she'd pushed to make happen, and now watching William solve the exact problem she'd been trying to solve, but through his own channel on his own terms, receiving what several sources describe as quiet praise from Charles for it. She requested a second meeting with William, this time with Charles present, and according to accounts of that conversation, Camilla didn't hide her frustration. She said she felt used, that her instincts had been right from the beginning, that she had seen the need for reconciliation before anyone else in the family was willing to act on it, and that instead of being credited for identifying the problem, she'd been excluded from the solution because of unproven suspicions about a publisher meeting that hadn't even progressed past a single preliminary conversation. Charles, according to those present, tried to mediate. He acknowledged Camilla's instincts had been correct. He said her push for reconciliation, whatever her reasons, had ultimately led to a moment he considered one of the most meaningful of the past several years. But he also gently said William's caution wasn't unfounded either, given the family's history with information finding its way into public narratives. William didn't back down from his position, but sources say his tone was notably different in this second meeting. He told Camilla that he didn't doubt her intentions regarding Harry. What he doubted was the palace's ability, as an institution, to prevent private family moments from eventually surfacing somewhere in some form once enough time had passed and enough people had knowledge of what happened. He said his caution wasn't about her specifically. It was about protecting Charles's final years from becoming content for anyone, published or otherwise. Camilla reportedly asked whether that meant she would never be trusted with something as simple as being present for a family reunion again. William's answer, according to sources, was that trust wasn't binary. It could be rebuilt specifically, through actions, through time, not through a single conversation resolving years of complicated history in one sitting. That answer, apparently, is what brought Camilla to tears for the second time that week. Not out of anger this time, but something closer to resignation. She reportedly said she understood the position William was in, understood the caution given everything the family had endured, but that it didn't make the exclusion hurt any less. Charles, watching his wife visibly upset in front of his eldest son, reportedly said very little. Sources close to him suggest he's caught in an increasingly difficult position himself, wanting to support Camilla, wanting to trust his son's judgment, and wanting more than anything simply to spend whatever time remains with his family whole, without having to referee competing versions of loyalty and caution among the people he loves most. Harry and Meghan's visit ended 2 days later, without further incident, without public appearances beyond the charity event that had been the official reason for the trip in the first place. No photographs were taken of the Windsor meeting. No statement referenced it. To the outside world, it looked like a quiet, uneventful visit. But inside the palace, the aftershocks are apparently still being felt. Camilla's relationship with William, always cordial on the surface, is now, according to multiple sources, noticeably more careful. Formal, the warmth that existed between them during Charles's early reign has cooled into something closer to professional distance. And the modified security agreement William proposed for visits involving Charles and the grandchildren is reportedly still being drafted, with lawyers on both sides working through the specifics. If it's finalized, it would mark the first concrete step toward Harry's children having any real relationship with their grandfather, separate entirely from the larger. Unresolved dispute over Harry's broader return. The question now is what happens next, because several threads are still hanging. Will Camilla's instinct toward reconciliation with Harry continue, despite being excluded from the moment she helped create? Will William's narrow agreement for Charles and the children actually get finalized, or will it stall the way previous negotiations have? And perhaps most pressingly, given how frail Charles reportedly appeared during that Windsor meeting, how much time does this family actually have left to resolve any of this before the question of reconciliation becomes permanently unanswerable? Sources close to the king suggest he's aware of exactly how limited his time might be, and that awareness is apparently driving decisions the rest of the family isn't fully prepared for. If Charles decides to push harder, using whatever authority and urgency his health gives him, he could force resolutions that neither William nor Camilla nor Harry are currently ready to accept. That's the story developing right now behind palace walls. And it's moving fast enough that we expect new details within days, not weeks. If you want the deeper background on this story, including more detail on the publisher meeting that triggered William's suspicion of Camilla, and the full account of what was said inside that Windsor room, all of that is available in extended form over at theroyalfiles.com. We're updating it as new information comes in, and it's genuinely the best place to follow this story in real time beyond what we can fit into a single video here. If this video gave you the full picture, make sure you're subscribed to Kingdom Files, because we will have the next update the moment new details surface, and given how quickly this situation is moving, that likely won't be long. Drop a comment and tell me what you think happens next. Does Camilla rebuild trust with William, or does this distance become permanent? Does the modified agreement for Charles and the grandchildren actually get finalized, or does it stall like everything else has? We'll be following every part of this as it unfolds. Until next time, this is Kingdom Files, and we'll see you in the next one.